I'm Steph.
And I'm Drew.
And you're listening to Spirited Spirits. Okay, so tonight we are going to talk about Krampus.
Yes, finally.
He is the goat-like demonic creature that comes at Christmas time to punish children who've misbehaved. He is essentially the antithesis to Santa Claus. But before we dive into the folklore of Krampus, let's let folks know what we're drinking tonight.
We are drinking Glühwein, which is a traditional mulled wine. Often found in Christkindl. Is that right?
Christkindl markets?
Yeah, Christkindl markets in Germany.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely delicious.
It is so yummy. We got this one in particular from Total Wine. And yeah, it's really yummy. So you can taste the cinnamon, the clove, and there's also like a hint of orange and lemon.
Right.
Which is really yummy.
It just reminds me of a mulled wine. I mean, that's what it is. But I mean, I could see like...
When was the last time you had mulled wine?
Probably at a Christmas function with my parents at some point. I don't know.
Because we've had like mulled cider, like hot apple cider.
Right.
But I can't tell you when I would have ever had mulled wine.
It's been a very long time ago.
I think there was like a spiced red wine we got around Halloween time that was like a witch's brew.
Yeah, but it wasn't warmed up though.
No, we didn't drink it warm.
This is warmed up though.
This is
really good.
Yeah.
This is really good.
So we got, like I said, we got this one at Total Wine. And if you want to see what it looks like, you can go to our Instagram page at spirited_spirits_podcast. So now we got that out of the way. Let's dive into the folklore of Krampus. The legend is thought to begin with pre-Christian Alpine traditions, and the word Krampus is believed to come from the German word Krampen, which means claw. And this makes sense because Krampus is usually described as a black or dark brown hairy beast with cloven hooves and horns like a goat. Now, I have seen some white versions.
Right.
Like white furry versions of Krampus.
Right.
And we can dive more into that later. But he's said to have fangs and a long pointed tongue and claw-like hands. He's said to wear chains and bells and carry a bundle of birch branches or a whip to swat bad children with. He's often depicted with a basket or a sack to carry off evil children that he plans to either devour or take back to his evil lair in hell.
So, a long time ago, when I didn't even know who Krampus was. Okay. I was working in this really boring job around Christmas time, and I had like nothing to do. Okay. And I wrote this poem. Oh. And I wrote it. It was almost like a Christmas poem.
Was this when you were an RA or something? Like, what is this? What do you mean by boring job?
No, it was when I worked. It was like accounts payable.
Oh, I gotcha.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about now.
So,
so you wrote a poem.
I did. It was
a Christmas poem.
It was a poem story. It was supposed to be like the Grinch, but instead it was about Santa that came down, and instead of leaving presents, he was taking children.
I feel like I remember reading this.
And this little kid, his name was Jeremiah Jenkins.
Yes, you did have me read this.
Yeah, so he ended up finding out that this Santa was, instead of like leaving gifts, was taking kids, and so he fought back and he rescued all the children. And
what did you ever do with that? Did you keep it?
I have no idea what I did with it, but I didn't know Krampus at the time. I just made up an evil Santa Claus.
Well, and we're in one of our future podcast episodes, very, very soon, We are going to talk about creepy Christmas traditions.
Right. I wish I could find it because it was pretty fucking baller.
Yeah.
Like, it was really good.
It was. I remember it was really good. Yeah.
Like, and I'm not being like, you know, like, oh, I'm so great at
egotistical.
running.
No,
egotistical. No, I was like, this is actually pretty damn good. And I wish I could find it because I would want to publish it, I think.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So
you also came up with some other stuff because you also wrote a story about essentially Slender Man before Slender Man was a thing.
Yes. But now I can't. Now
you can't do anything with it. Damn, babe. Oh well. Okay, so Krampus appears. Apparently, he originates from pagan traditions, specifically around the winter solstice, right? So,
which is my birthday.
Yes, it is December 21st. According to these traditions, Krampus is the offspring of Hel, the Norse god of the underworld. Eastern Europeans hold Krampusnacht, which is translated as Krampus Night, celebrations on December 5th. So that's the night before the feast or the day of St. Nicholas. Okay, so that's St. Nicholas Day is on December 6th. Krampusnacht is on December 5th. People, usually men, but I've seen some women, dress up as Krampus. They wear these elaborate, terrifying costumes. I'll post some pictures on Instagram so people can see it. And they parade down the street and try to scare people who have gathered to watch.
Which sounds fucking awesome.
Right?
Let's be honest here. Like, Christmas time is a great time to spend time with family and stuff, but the ghost stories of Christmas, like, you know, the Christmas Carol, stuff like that, is where it's
spooky shit, yeah. So they parade down the street, they try to scare people, but these parades can get pretty rowdy. I will say that, because a lot of times people have been drinking.
Oh, of course.
So these people will run after the onlookers, the crowd, and they'll try and swat at them with the switches.
Oh, okay.
And then arguments occur because people have been injured, and so, like I said, alcohol is involved, and so people can get hurt.
Okay, so we're not taking our child to this.
No, although I've seen some people take they've taken their children to these events.
Yikes!
And the kids take pictures with Krampus, which no. All right, can you imagine our child doing this?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Okay. These events are known as Krampuslauf or Krampus Run, and these events are extremely popular in Austria and Germany, but they're gaining traction in North America. In fact, I did a quick Google search, and I found that there were Krampus runs in Washington, D.C., New Orleans, Los Angeles, and Detroit. So I think maybe we should start one in our neighborhood. What do you think? Maybe like not without the rowdiness, but like the fun dressing up and spooky shit.
I think
like dress up as Krampus.
I'm gonna say something a little controversial here, but there's a lot of folk that I've seen that like maybe are like way more conservative. That may not like that. Yeah. Like if you're just like, I'm gonna dress up as a goat demon for Christmas.
Yeah, maybe that would be frowned upon. But Halloween's a big deal in our neighborhood. We really like Halloween.
Yeah, but then you introduce like Krampus into little baby Jesus' time.
Yeah, we have some like.
I think that would probably be not a good idea.
We have some neighbors that probably would not be happy with us.
We have a lot of pearl clutchers in our neighborhood.
Pearl clutchers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone needs to know a definition of that. It's like,
right.
You're clutching your pearls.
Gotcha.
Situation.
Well, so to reiterate, just like Halloween, Krampusnacht has pagan origins.
Right.
It's been incorporated into Christianity, or rather really Catholicism, because of the Roman Catholic Church and their Christmas celebrations, which, if you think about it, I mean, I'm sure many of you all know Christmas has pagan roots.
Yes.
Having to do with the winter solstice celebrations. Jesus wasn't actually born in December.
And the fact that,
newsflash, folks.
Right.
Wasn't born in December.
Also, the fact that you bring a live Christmas tree, or like a live tree into your house.
Yes.
Is a pagan.
Do you remember AP English? They talked about like the red versus green. Red is like Christianity and the blood of Christ, and then green was like the evergreen and paganism.
Yes.
So that's how you get that melding of the two.
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely remember that from AP English.
I loved AP English.
I did too.
It was so fun. Okay. So in many Roman Catholic countries, Santa and Krampus seem to kind of work together, which seems really weird to me. It's a really weird dichotomy. Like, Like they're a weird ragtag team of...
One gives presents and one...
Saint Nick, yes, he gives the gifts.
I love the idea of, like...
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, good cop, bad cop, but also, like, Santa and Krampus, like, having a meeting before Christmas. Be like, hey, like, look, like...
Let's go over the list again.
Let's go over the list one more time. Okay, like, little Billy...
He's making a list.
He was doing really good there for a little bit, but then, he punched his sister, like, a couple times. So, do you want to move him to your list? Yeah, I'll take him.
I'll devour him.
I'll take him.
I'll take him down to my lair.
What do you think? Do you think a switch? Do you think I should, like, just, like, eat him? Like, what do you think, Santa? Well, I don't know. This is his first offense. Maybe just scare him. Like...
Yeah, so Saint Nick, he comes to reward good children with gifts, while Krampus supplies coal to the bad children. In some of these traditions. So Santa rewards while Krampus punishes. And just as Santa Claus appears on Christmas cards, Krampus actually appears on greeting cards that have been exchanged by Europeans. These greeting cards are called, and I'm hoping to pronounce all this stuff correctly, because I'm not, like, I'm German, but not really. Grüb von Krampus.
I think that was a really good, like, attempt.
Thanks.
So I'm not German.
Yeah,
but that sounds great.
I listened to some stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Or greetings from Krampus. And they feature the hairy demonic beast looming over children. And people exchange these cards around Christmas.
That's really odd.
I sure as shit would do it.
I would too.
If we had them, like, we're going to have to look on Amazon and see if we can find some. Or Etsy, maybe.
So my question is, with this, next year, do we take a family photo with us like, running away, and then have Krampus...
And then, like, digitally, like,
have Krampus, like, behind him?
Oh, yes.
Hold on. Do you think that A, that's a good idea, and B...
I think it's a great idea.
Okay, well, there we go.
Whether or not other family members, like my grandma, will appreciate it, probably not. But, yeah, that'd be fucking hilarious.
She would not love that.
No, my Irish Catholic grandma would not love it.
No.
But it would be funny.
Oh, that sounds great. All right, we're going to do that next year.
Okay. So it's important to note, though, there are regional variations of the Krampus legend in many Central and Eastern European countries. So, for example, in parts of Croatia, Krampus is considered a devil that takes misbehaving children's gifts given by Saint Nick. So Saint Nick comes and he delivers gifts, and then Krampus comes and takes those gifts and leaves behind a silver branch that lets them know that they have been punished. That Krampus has been there and has said, fuck you, I took your gifts, you misbehaved this year.
Here's a silver tree branch.
Here's a silver tree branch.
That sounds a little bit less threatening than I'm going to, like,
I think it's like
hit you I'm gonna
with
some.
I think it's like a threat. Like, I'm going to hit you with this, but
right.
You're lucky I just left it behind and just took your gifts.
It's a full-on threat.
Right. So, like I said earlier, Krampus is growing in popularity in North America, and I would say thanks in part to the 2015 Christmas horror comedy Krampus.
Yes. Directed
by Michael Dougherty.
Yes.
The film stars Toni Collette, Adam Scott, David Koechner, Allison Tolman, and several great child actors. So let's talk about the movie, because Drew and I love it. It's our favorite Christmas horror movie, and we're actually going to do our next podcast on our top 5.
Let's do 5, I think.
Okay, top 5 favorite.
So spoiler, it's probably going to be Krampus.
Yeah, holiday horror films. Krampus is going to probably be number 1, but
so it's great. So it takes. Like synopsis-wise...
Yeah, give them a brief synopsis.
It's about a kid that's kind of losing his faith in Christmas. There's a lot of commercialism. And
it's a dysfunctional
family. So there's like the liberal side of the family, and there's this ultra-conservative side of the family, and they're coming together for Christmas.
We should probably note spoilers.
Yeah,
from here on out. If you haven't seen Krampus, just stop right here.
Well, I'm gonna keep it pretty brief.
Well, but I may give away some stuff. So I'm going to say spoilers at this point. Go ahead and stop it. Go watch Krampus. Come back to this episode. And then see what we think.
So then he, like some dysfunction occurs. And
it's a dysfunctional family celebrating Christmas.
Yes. And then he had written a letter to Santa, and he ends up ripping it up and like throwing out the window.
He loses his faith.
He loses his faith in Santa. And so because of that, Krampus comes to punish the entire family with his motley crew of like
his minions.
And it's just a fun it's a fun Christmas horror movie. It takes the quintessential, like, just Christmas stuff and, like, turns it on its head. It's not violent. I don't think it's bloody. It's not very bloody. There are some disturbing parts.
Yeah.
But I feel like that it has a PG-13 rating. It's definitely just a fun watch. I think the creature stuff is really good.
Yeah, the creature effects are great.
It's all practical, and if you've listened to me talk about movies before, I am a sucker for good practical effects.
Well, so that's one thing I wanted to say. First of all, Michael Dougherty directed our favorite horror movie, Trick or Treat.
Right, I know.
So I wanted to make sure to mention that.
Can we just,
we're already automatically partial to his work.
Yeah,
we're kind of biased in that way.
Can we just, like, send him this and our Halloween podcast?
Yes.
Hello, yes. We are big fans. Would you like to come onto our podcast and just talk to us?
Can we interview you?
Yes.
But I really do think he does a great job incorporating, in this movie, he incorporates the Christmas humor in, like, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, per se, and then Christmas horror a la Gremlins, which in and of itself, Gremlins is also kind of a horror comedy, right? It's not straight up horror.
And that's a good Christmas horror movie, too.
So, and like you said, the creature effects are fantastic, and they're really terrifying. Like, it's really scary. So, like, not just Krampus, but his minions are fucking terrifying.
Well, and
that jukebox, or no, what is it? Not jukebox. What is it called? The Jack in the Box.
Jack in the Box.
There we go. I don't know. I had a moment. It's the glue vine. The Jack in the Box. Holy fucking shit. That scares the hell out of me.
And I think and the creature effect of Krampus is really good.
Yes.
I really like, so in lore, it's always been this, like you said, like a goat person man thing.
Demonic,
like wearing a mask of Santa, right?
Well, I don't know if no, I couldn't find specifically in the lore where it wears a Santa face or mask.
Okay.
I think that was added by Michael Dougherty, but I think it works.
I think that's the best part of it, because the whole idea of there's this, like, goat demon thing, and it's wearing a mask of this jolly thing, and the mask it doesn't work. It's not like it's so fake. It's like
1950s Christmas, like, or Halloween masks,
right?
You know, back in the 1950s,
right?
And 60s,
and his tongue's, like, hanging out of it and stuff. So it's like a terrible mask, but it works as, like, this whole, like, really dark, like,
and he's hunched over.
He's hulking over the characters. It's so
he's wearing the Santa suit, but it's like really awkward on him.
Right.
He's got chains and the bells.
Right. I love that fucking movie so much.
Oh no, it's so good. It's so good. What else do we? So let's talk about it. Like,
we have been.
But I mean, why it worked? Okay, so again, we've already mentioned spoilers. One of the things I thought was really cool is the grandma. So the way that they did the film is it's all American folk, obviously, but the grandmother is from Austria or somewhere in Central Eastern Europe or whatever. And so she clearly has this background, this history with Krampus. And so the reason why it was so important for her, for the child, this son, her grandson, to continue to believe in Santa Claus is because she knew Krampus was a very real threat. That if he didn't believe that there was a chance that they could be hunted by Krampus. And so it was important to her to keep that faith alive and to encourage him. But the whole rest of the family is given up.
Right.
And so when things start happening, she's trying to kind of keep the fire going, stoke the fire, because then that means the minions, Krampus's minions, can't come down the chimney and attack them. And let's talk about Krampus's minions. You got gingerbread men. Mm-hmm. Ginger fucking bread men, like fucking cookies. And somehow Michael Dougherty makes it hilariously terrifying.
Right. And then toys attack
toys,
them.
Like the Jack in the Box, like I said.
An angel from the tree. Elves. Elves are terrifying.
Elves are really, really freaky.
But I think the other thing too, like, again, I know kind of we're going into this movie a little bit more, is like the lore the lore feels real.
Yes.
And I love movies like that where it feels like it lets some of these characters tell their story, and the grandma does this great story, which is
with
done
the
stop motion animation that makes it look like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like old claymation stuff. But they tell her story through that medium. It's just fantastic. Yeah, it's great. It takes everything about Christmas that you know, and it creates this story about family banding together during the holidays. Well, and even though they don't love each other.
That's what I was going to say. Let's talk about how different the two families are. That's why they're dysfunctional. Is you have a very, like, what many would consider liberal family, and then you have the very conservative family who's like gun-toting Republicans, and they're coming together, and it reminds you again a bit of that Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
Right? You have like Chevy Chase's character, Clark, and his brother-in-law, right?
His brother?
I thought it was brother-in-law.
I don't think it's brother.
Okay, well...
Shitter's full, right?
But so you have these two very different families that are coming together and trying to survive what's happening to them.
Right.
And in that moment, it's like the more liberal, quote unquote, guy that has been teased for not being like that manly has to all of a sudden bond up with and begin shooting at these creatures alongside his brother-in-law,
right,
in Krampus, right? And so it's just kind of funny to see how in that moment survival is the most important thing,
right? And it's done very well. I know it's weird to say like, hey, you should watch this horror movie during Christmas, but it makes sense because I think the whole idea of like Christmas horror movies and Christmas like lore like that, it stems from like lore like Krampus, and it stems from lore like in A Christmas Carol where there's Christmas ghosts.
Yeah.
Christmas was not always just a happy time. It was time to like look at,
reflect
on your life and reflect on these like on death, and like death is coming for all of us, and like how to be thankful. It kind of, this is not talking about like Thanksgiving, we're talking about Christmas, but
right.
But
still, like, this could be the last Christmas with your family, so appreciate it for what it is.
Right.
Kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, I think, what was I going to say? I think that Christmas, in and of itself, has kind of a spooky aspect to it. Because, like I said, it really is a blending of pagan belief and Christianity. Like, the Roman Catholic Church decided, hey, we're going to essentially create this holiday. I realize it's based on the birth of Christ, and I do believe in Christ, but they used that as an excuse to celebrate his birth on the same day that the pagans had their winter solstice, and they kind of melded the two together. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's always had this weird antagonistic kind of feel to it, of like religion and pagan and mm-hmm. Like spirituality. And so I think there's always been this like spooky kind of sense to it.
Also, nothing is more spooky than a man like shimmying down the chimney to just give you gifts.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty like.
But that's a lot of. So what we're going to talk about in one of our very, very next episodes, is the Christian,
spoiler alert,
the Christmas traditions.
Right.
And that's a very American version of Santa Claus.
Okay, so I feel like we're wrapping up here, but I do want to just at this point talk about last birthdays. Like what I did for my last birthday.
Okay, yes. So, okay.
So, I'm a huge Dungeons and Dragons nerd. Okay?
Nerd alert.
If you want to, like, turn this off now, that's fine. I completely understand. So, last year, I don't get to play that often anymore. I played just a couple times, really, to be completely honest.
Yeah, this wasn't something you did when you
right, but I watch Critical Role, and, like, that's something that I put on when I'm working. and it's just a fun time to watch.
When you're working?
When I'm working. When, like, just to watch these people, like, create these stories. So last year, I wrote a one-shot, which what that means is that it's a one evening story. Mm-hmm. And this story was, and I can tell this now because everyone has experienced it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, so I had Steph and then our brother-in-law and her sister, and a couple of friends over, and all their characters had been whisked away to like this town.
Yeah, we had elves, like elf ranger, elf cleric. We had a paladin. We had elves.
I don't remember what Chris was. He was like, and then your sister was. I know she was like a celestial.
Okay.
So she was like almost like a fallen angel.
Okay, so we had all these different characters that had come together for this one night. And
they had been trapped in this like winter village.
Yes.
And they had found out that, and I'll be honest, if anybody plays D&D out there, I definitely stole some stuff from like Strahd.
Curse of Lestrade.
Yeah, from Strahd.
Yeah, Strahd. Yeah. Okay.
So because I love vampires, so they found out that these witches were making meat pies out of all the children, and ended up finding out that instead of Strahd, they were
working with
they were trying to resurrect Krampus. So at the end, they had a choice, which they didn't do what I thought they were going to do. But it was in a very cinematic like sequence. This one witch who was dying was like running towards this well, and all she had to do was get to the well, like cut herself, put the blood in, and that would have been her way of resurrecting Krampus. So if they had killed her before she got there, it would have been done. But I think it was Stephanie who tried to shoot her with a bow and arrow and missed twice.
My bad.
and so she got there in time, was able to resurrect Krampus before dying.
So then we all had to fight Krampus.
They all had to fight Krampus, which was fucking awesome. And I was so pumped for this because I was like, I hope that they're able to do it, but also, if they don't, like, this is the battle of the century. This is what I want to see. And so they ended up battling Krampus, which there was a stat block online that I found. And it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was fun. It was definitely fun. So listeners...
We're doing that again this year.
Yeah,
but you don't know what the story is.
I don't. Yeah, so his birthday is winter solstice.
Right.
And but we're celebrating early this year.
Right.
Given that your birthday's on like a Wednesday. But yes, we are going to do another D&D one shot, and we'll see. Maybe we'll let folks know what you had in store for us.
Oh, this one's even better.
Okay. We'll see. All right, listeners. We hope you enjoyed this episode about the folklore and the film Krampus. We'd love to hear from you. So let us know. What do you think about Krampus? Have you ever been to a Krampus run?
Invite me next time. Please
send pictures. Like, we would love to see some pictures. We're still trying to collect listeners' tales to see, if you all have any spooky stories about ghosts or weird encounters or just strange things that have happened to you, or unexplained phenomenon. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to compile an episode all dedicated to listener tales.
We have like 3 now, but that would probably end up in maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably pull something together, but I'd love to have like a thematic kind of thing. Like maybe if we get several stories on ghosts, or if we get several stories on UFOs or whatever, like it'd be cool to have like a thematic episode on reader tales.
Yeah, and if you experience like a vampire, oh man, please reach out because I want to know what that was like, or a werewolf.
Stop. Anyway, email us at contactspiritedspirits@gmail.com.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. So we hope that you'll continue to listen to us every week as we talk about spirits while we sip on some spirits.
Bye.